Rick created a giant incest space baby and the world just laughed uncomfortably. Even the creators admit some moments went too far. Tune in because these 5 episodes didn't just cross the line, they destroyed it.
Listen to your sister, Morty. To live is to risk it all. Otherwise, you're just an inert chunk of randomly assembled molecules drifting wherever the universe blows you. Oh, I'm sorry, Jerry. I didn't see you there. How much of that did you hear?
All of it. You were looking right at me.
This one starts off looking like a classic Rick and Morty adventure, with the introduction of the helpful and increasingly desperate Mr. Meeseeks. The family uses them for mundane tasks, and it's all fun and games. But then Morty gets to lead an adventure hoping for something more straightforward and heroic. He chooses a fantasy realm, aiming for a simple quest. What he gets is a village full of smiling faces and one very friendly King Jellybean. Too friendly. In a horrifying turn, the king attempts to intimately assault Morty in the bathroom. There's no dark humor here, just a genuinely disturbing and traumatic moment that left audiences stunned, especially so early in the series. Morty has to fight his way out, scarred by the encounter, while Rick later, off-screen then on-screen in a quick cut, deals with the king. The scene itself was a stark signal that this show would truly go to uncomfortable places, often without warning. It wasn't about a grand scheme or Rick's nihilism, it was a sudden, raw violation that was hard to shake. At first, you might think this episode is going to be light and fun, with superheroes, big battles, and saving the galaxy. But no. Rick takes control of the whole mission, acting drunk and mean, setting up deadly traps like it's some kind of sick game show.
We're being called to assemble by the Vindicators! I refuse to answer a literal call to adventure, Morty. Let it go to voicemail!
Rick, the Vindicators only call when the universe itself is at stake! They're the first line of defense against evil! They're the guardians of the unguarded!
They're the writers of their own press releases, Morty. They're a bunch of drama queens that spend an hour talking and 20 minutes jumping around while shit blows up. They're a phase. We did one. It was the big event of that summer. Let it die.
The so-called heroes? They're a mess. They cheat on each other, brag non-stop, and can't even solve simple puzzles. Rick knew they were useless. Morty didn't. At least not until everything fell apart. Rick doesn't eliminate them directly, but his traps do, one by one. All just to prove a point to Morty, that no one, not even heroes, is better than Rick. It's not just cruel, it's like dragging your little brother into a haunted house just to watch him cry, except in this case, the house explodes and everyone dies. And here's the sharpest moment. The final puzzle asks what Rick values most. The answer is supposed to be Morty. Sweet, right? Except Rick is so blackout drunk he keeps talking about noob instead. Morty is heartbroken and Rick doesn't even notice. But if you thought that was brutal, the next episode hit even harder. And it wasn't just about violence, but about betrayal.
Which is why you can't leave either. I'm sorry, my love.
Damn, she double-crossed Snuzzles.
Silence!
You ever feel that little sting in your gut when a show sucker punches you? This was that. Bird Person, Rick's only real friend. Gets married, Rick shows up, even gives a toast. That alone should have told us something terrible was coming. And boom. Tammy, the bride, whips out a gun and blasts him, right in the middle of the wedding. Turns out she's a secret cop. Just like that, the party turns into a bloodbath. Rick runs, but something in him cracks. See, he opened up for once, said something nice, took a chance, and got burned hard. That's Rick's world. Let someone in, you lose everything.
Bird Person?
It is now Phoenix Person.
You're working for them? What did they do to you, BP?
It is now PP. Where is Tammy?
It's not just drama, it's a blueprint for why he's a mess. This episode hit different. It changed everything. Suddenly, the show wasn't just jokes and space goo. It had scars, and they hurt. From emotional betrayal, the next episode took us straight into psychological warfare, with Morty stuck watching his idol unravel everything. This one ain't just weird, it's unsettling. Rick and Morty get all messed up after a crazy near-death adventure and decide they need some me time. But instead of chilling out like normal folks, they hit up an alien spa that literally yanks the toxic stuff out of their bodies. Sounds fun, right? Nah, it gets real messed up, real fast. Now we got 2 versions of Rick and Morty, the clean ones and the gross, sludgy, rage-fueled copies. But here's the kicker, the so-called toxic versions, they're not just evil cartoon characters. Toxic Rick still cares. Twisted, yeah, but there's real emotion hiding under that green goop. Meanwhile, the clean Rick, he's boring, soft, maybe even broken. Same goes for Morty. Toxic Morty is anxious and scared, sure, but he's got a heart. Strip all that away and you get this sleazy Wall Street wannabe who lies to girls and couldn't care less about anybody. Somehow, the healthy version ends up being the real monster. And here's when the alarm bells start ringing. When the toxic halves go rogue, Rick chooses to merge back with his toxic self. Why? Because being complete means living the bad parts too. That's the message, right? But let that sit for a second. Is it really some deep truth about self-acceptance? Or is it just a lazy excuse to keep being awful? But none of that prepared fans for the episode that would break every boundary and make even longtime viewers squirm.
Can't f***ing do this anymore!
That was seriously f***ed up. We almost died.
So you agree?
Yes, this was insane. That was pure luck. I was not in control of that situation at all.
Okay, deep breath. This one's straight up nasty. Morty does something real dumb. He gets too close with a horse breeding machine at his mom's clinic. Don't ask, just know it's bad. Then Rick grabs the very same sample for a science project, mix in a lab accident, and bam! Giant killer sperm monsters. Yeah, really. Things spiral from dumb to disturbing when the US government decides to use Summer's egg as bait. Morty finally comes clean. His stuff made the monsters, but too late. One of the sperm gets inside the egg, and guess what? Now we got ourselves a giant space-bound incest baby. The whole thing is a mess, not just gross, but lazy. Instead of clever sci-fi twists or smart laughs, it's just shock for the sake of shock. Even die-hard fans tapped out here. It felt like the writers were trying to see how far they could go before everyone threw their remotes through the screen.
What happened?
The sperm, Morty. They're super monster sperm now. I blame myself, unless there was something about the sperm I didn't know.
Are you saying that to mess with me?
What? Mess with you? How?
Like trying to get me to say something?
Morty, I have no idea what you're talking about.
For real?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then it's your fault.
Worse, the characters act like total idiots. Morty hides the truth forever. Summer somehow agrees to egg bait. Rick acts like none of this is his fault. The sperm even has a name, Sticky. And the baby? They launch it into space, name it Naruto, and pretend like everything's cool. Critics tore it apart. Not because it was dark. Rick and Morty always plays dirty, but this time, it wasn't funny. It wasn't smart. It was just gross. And for a lot of people, that was the moment the show stopped feeling fearless and started feeling desperate. So if your cartoon starts acting strange and the story feels super weird, don't freak out. It's probably just another science plan that went wrong. Maybe check if you're part alien, and don't eat anything from the snack machine.